The story begins at a high school where the teachers are shocked to discover that every student in a class has scored exactly the same marks on the exam, which is a clear sign of mass cheating.
携帯を使った方法でしょうね。
携帯の持ち込み禁止を徹底するしかないですね。
The English teacher, Hasumi, suggests that the students might be using their phones and proposes blocking mobile signals during exams. However, since that would violate radio laws, the other teachers refuse. Hasumi then mentions that they could secretly jam the signal just in that area during exams so no one would ever find out. But still, no one agrees. Despite this, Hasumi gains attention among the students, especially the girls, who begin to admire him for his charm and kindness. Hasumi, who studied in the United States, teaches English confidently and maintains a polite image. In his class, a boy named Nagoshi gets caught reading a comic book instead of paying attention. His friend teases him, and later the two meet another classmate named Keisuke Hayami, who turns out to be the same student involved in helping others cheat. When Nagoshi's friend accuses Keisuke of assisting students again, Keisuke laughs it off, saying he only does it for fun and that no one can ever catch him. Meanwhile, the school faces another problem when a man comes to complain that his daughter, Rina, is being bullied. The principal and Hasumi both deny it, claiming nothing like that is happening, though in truth, Rina is indeed being bullied by her classmates. Around the same time, the PT teacher is seen taking a girl named Mia into a locked room. Some students witness this and tell Hasumi what they saw.
ミアがね、セクハラされてるんじゃないか。
When Hasumi talks to Mia, she reveals that the PT teacher has been blackmailing her. Earlier, PT teacher caught her stealing from a shop, advised her to confess, and promised to keep it secret. But he secretly recorded her confession and later used it to control her. After realizing this, Hasumi takes Mia back to the same shop to apologize, and the shop owner forgives her. He then reassures Mia that she no longer needs to fear the PT teacher, and even messages the man, warning that he can't blackmail her anymore because she has already confessed. The next day, during exams, Hasumi collects all the students' phones, but Keisuke and his friends use backup devices. However, even those fail to work because Hasumi has secretly jammed the signal. After the exam, Keisuke's friends beat him badly because he didn't help them cheat during the exam. Keisuke believes it must have been their homeroom teacher, Suri, but when Suri overhears them, he says he knows they were cheating, yet chooses to forgive them. He adds that he wasn't the one who jammed the signal. Later at home, Suri becomes suspicious of Hasumi, searches his background online, and uncovers disturbing information about him. The next day, Rina's father returns with written proof of his daughter's bullying, but Hasumi again tries to convince him otherwise, making the man furious. Later, Hasumi notices several bottles of water and cigarette butts outside Rina's father's house, which gives him a strange idea. The next day, Mia calls Hasumi to the rooftop, where she confesses her growing feelings for him. She kisses him, and instead of stopping her, Hasumi gives in to her affection, deepening their forbidden relationship until they suddenly hear someone's presence nearby. Hasumi immediately sends Mia downstairs and calls out to see who is there. A boy named Tade appears. Pretending to know nothing, when Hasumi accuses him of seeing everything, Tade calmly says he was just sleeping. Hasumi, keeping his composure, tells Mia not to worry and leaves the rooftop. That night, Rina's father sits outside his house, anxiously waiting for a phone call that never comes. Frustrated, he tosses his burning cigarette onto the ground and walks inside, unaware that it rolls near a bottle filled with liquid. Moments later, the bottle melts, igniting a massive fire that engulfs the entire area. The next morning, police arrive at the school to investigate the mysterious fire. They reveal that the bottles, which were supposed to contain water, were actually filled with kerosene, clearly indicating that the fire was not an accident, but a deliberate act of arson planned by someone. When they question the teachers, they learn that Rina's father often came to complain about his daughter being bullied. Just as the officers prepare to leave, the teacher Suri advises them to check into the background of the English teacher, Hasumi, mentioning that he used to teach at Kitahara School. When asked what he means, Suri avoids explaining further and quietly leaves. Keisuke, who overhears the conversation, later questions Suri, but he only repeats that Hasumi once worked at Kitahara before walking away. Meanwhile, another teacher named Kume is visited by a student, Masahiko. The two are secretly in a relationship and often meet outside the school. However, their secret affair is soon discovered by Hasumi, who uses it to his advantage. He begins blackmailing Kume and starts using his luxurious house for himself. Hasumi even takes Mia there, and while he prepares to take a bath, she notices a scar on his back. When she asks about it, Hasumi calmly says it was from an accident, but the truth is far darker. When he was 15, he murdered his parents, stabbed himself, and pretended to be a victim. Later, Keisuke digs into Hasumi's past and discovers disturbing news about his previous school, where 4 students had mysteriously committed suicide one after another. Convinced that Hasumi had something to do with it, Keisuke shows the information to his friends. But one of them warns him to stop digging deeper, fearing that it might put his life in danger. Afterward, chaos erupts in class when someone posts on the school's private discussion board that Teide was responsible for Rina's father's death, and that he was the one who filled the bottles with kerosene. Furious, Teide attacks a student, assuming he made the post. Mia, who witnesses the fight, suddenly remembers that Hasumi had once asked her for access to that same online board. Realizing something is wrong, Hasumi quickly arrives and stops the fight. Acting concerned, he tells Teide they should go out for a drink and talk things over. But later, he kills Teide, ensuring that no one remains who knows about his secret relationship with Mia. The next morning, Keisuke meets Suri again and presses him for more details about Hasumi. Suri explains that his suspicions began the moment he met him. After secretly checking Hasumi's resume, he found several inconsistencies that made no sense. He tells Keisuke that Hasumi's father was a doctor and that Hasumi had once studied at Tokyo University before dropping out, later moving to Kyoto and then abroad. However, despite all these claims, there is no real record of him ever doing anything that would qualify him to become an English teacher. After completing his graduation and MBA, Hasumi once worked in a bank, but he soon quit and returned to Japan, becoming an English teacher. Suri further explains that when Hasumi was young, an unknown man broke into his home, murdered his parents, and attacked him as well. Suri adds that during his investigation, he discovered that at Hasumi's previous school, several students had mysteriously committed suicide one after another, and even Hasumi's private tutor had been killed. It becomes clear that wherever strange deaths occur, Hasumi is always nearby. Hearing this, Keisuke realizes that something is terribly wrong with his teacher. However, neither of them knows that Hasumi has been secretly listening to their entire conversation through a hidden recording device. Now aware of their suspicions, Hasumi decides to eliminate them. One night, when Suri is traveling alone on a train, Hasumi follows him and kills him, hanging the body to make it look like suicide. The next day, when the news of Suri's death spreads through the school, Keisuke immediately understands that Hasumi is behind it. He rushes to the same classroom where they had talked earlier and starts searching for the hidden recording device to confirm his suspicions. But before he can find anything, Hasumi enters the room. A few minutes later, Keisuke's friend comes looking for him, asking Hasumi if he has seen Keisuke, to which Hasumi calmly says no. As she leaves, it's revealed that Keisuke is lying unconscious behind the air ducts. That night, Hasumi tortures the bound Keisuke with an iron rod, questioning him about everything Suri had told him. When Hasumi asks if he shared their conversation with anyone else, Keisuke denies it. Hasumi then forces him to confess that he was the one helping students cheat. After showing him photos of other boys and asking if they were involved, Keisuke insists they weren't. Eventually, Hasumi takes Keisuke away, planning to get rid of him too. It's then revealed that during his time in the United States, Hasumi met a man named Clay, who was just as much of a psychopath as he was. The two bonded over their shared love of killing and committed several murders together, until Hasumi eventually turned on Clay and killed him too. When the authorities caught him, he cleverly manipulated the situation and escaped conviction, eventually being deported back to Japan. In the present, Hasumi takes Mia to the luxurious house that once belonged to Kume. However, Mia has started doubting him. Meanwhile, when Hasumi leaves the room, she quietly checks his bag and finds Teide's phone inside. Shocked, she asks Hasumi why he has it. He lies, saying that Teide got drunk when they went drinking together and accidentally left his phone behind. Mia then asks who might have posted that false message about Teide on the school's discussion board, but Hasumi turns the question back at her. Though Mia pretends not to know, Hasumi realizes she suspects him, and he decides to kill her next. As the school prepares for its upcoming festival, students stay overnight to decorate and rehearse. Rina also returns to school, and Hasumi warmly welcomes her, pretending to be pleased. Meanwhile, Mia's classmates notice her leaving alone and consider following her. One girl insists they shouldn't, but another secretly decides to go after her. Mia reaches the rooftop, where Hasumi is waiting. Pretending to want to talk, he suddenly attacks her, rendering her unconscious. He places her shoes neatly by the edge, leaves a fake suicide note written in her name, and pushes her off the building. Moments later, the girl who followed Mia arrives and demands to know where Mia went. Realizing he's been caught, Hasumi kills her too. Now cornered with no way out, Hasumi devises a horrifying plan. He locks the rooftop door from the other side and calls teacher Kume, claiming that Masahiko is in danger and needs help immediately. As Kume tries to contact Masahiko, his calls fail to connect, because once again Hasumi has jammed all the phones inside the school. Meanwhile, Hasumi picks up his shotgun and heads straight to the school. At the same time, a boy named Kakeru plans to propose to his friend Satomi and excitedly asks her to meet him downstairs after a while. He heads happily to the club room, unaware of the horror about to unfold. When teacher Kume arrives at the school in response to Hasumi's call, Hasumi suddenly attacks him and knocks him unconscious. Meanwhile, Keisuke's two friends discover that all the phones are jammed, and they immediately realize this can only be Hasumi's doing. Panicked, they begin warning other students about the truth behind their teacher. Downstairs, 3 boys are quietly drinking when Hasumi suddenly appears and shoots them one by one with his shotgun. The deafening gunshots echo through the building, reaching the PT teacher and Kakeru. The teacher immediately rushes to confront Hasumi with a weapon, but Hasumi fires a single shot and kills him instantly. The sound of gunfire spreads fear throughout the school. Pretending to be concerned, Hasumi announces over the speaker that an armed intruder has entered the building, warning everyone to avoid the lower floor and run toward the rooftop for safety. Terrified, the students follow his instructions and begin rushing upstairs, not knowing that Hasumi has already locked the rooftop door to trap them. The few students who know the truth about him try to stop the others, but most continue running upward. When the students reach the rooftop, they find the door locked and try hard to open it, but it won't move. Meanwhile, Kakeru takes his bow and arrow and heads to the school's telephone to call for help, only to find the lines dead because Hasumi has destroyed them. He somehow manages to escape from the school building, running for his life. Wearing a cloak, Hasumi heads to the rooftop where frightened students wait for help. Pretending to comfort them, he suddenly starts shooting, killing everyone mercilessly. Outside the school, Kakeru finds a man sitting nearby and urgently tells him to call the police, saying someone has entered the school and is killing students with a shotgun. The man quickly alerts the authorities, while Kakeru rushes back toward the school to save his friend Satomi. Meanwhile, Satomi believes Kakeru is waiting for her downstairs, so she decides to climb down using a rope from the window. But her grip slips midway, and she falls, injuring her legs. Despite the pain, Satomi drags herself forward just as Kakeru arrives. The two see each other, but before they can reach one another, Hasumi spots them from the window and aims his shotgun. Kakeru fires an arrow in defense, yet Hasumi's bullet deflects it, fatally hitting Kakeru instead. Shocked and heartbroken, Satomi cries out, but Hasumi coldly shoots her too. Realizing Kakeru must have called the police, Hasumi pours kerosene around the area and sets it ablaze to destroy the evidence. At the same time, chaos spreads inside. Using the same rope Satomi had used, Hasumi climbs back inside through the window and continues his massacre, hunting down the terrified students one by one. Meanwhile, Nagoshi and another boy struggle to escape as fire surrounds the hallways. Nagoshi suggests using the school's emergency slide, and both rush to set it up. Elsewhere, Hasumi encounters Masahiko, who notices Kume's shoes on Hasumi's feet and realizes Hasumi plans to frame Kume for the murders. Masahiko tries to resist, but Hasumi kills him. Soon after, Hasumi hears the sound of Nagoshi and his friend escaping through the slide. He looks out the window and fires repeatedly, believing he has killed them both. However, the truth is that the boys had cleverly dressed other bodies in their clothes to trick him. Afterward, Hasumi kills the unconscious Kume and stages it to look like a suicide, preparing his cover story. When the police arrive, he injures himself slightly, puts on handcuffs, and pretends to be an innocent survivor, claiming Kume murdered the students before taking his own life. But during the investigation, the police find Nagoshi and his friend alive, along with a nurse's recording that captured Hasumi's voice during the killings. As the officers arrest him, Hasumi smiles coldly, claiming he only did what God told him to do, to destroy the demon children of the school. Nagoshi, furious, confronts him, while his friend quietly realizes that Hasumi might escape punishment by pretending to be insane. In the final scene, Mia slowly regains consciousness, revealing that she is still alive and bringing the story to a haunting yet hopeful end.